What is up, Super Fam and Bro Vengers alike? I am Sensei Finito, aka Vane Sensei, and welcome to Marvel Bros, where we discuss all things Marvel and everything pop culture. And today we are going to be getting ready for Daredevil Born Again. I am so excited to jump into this stream today, where we will be recapping, rewatching, well, not rewatching, but we'll be recapping and checking out all those Easter eggs and stuff like that have happened within Daredevil Born Again. Yo, I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped to check it out today. I can't lie to you. So if you guys aren't aware, New Rockstars has put together a Daredevil rewatch Easter eggs and breakdown series of seasons 1, 2, and 3. Today we're going to be checking those out, going through them, and just kind of checking out all the little Easter eggs that they have, checking out maybe the new trailer that they just dropped today as well, and just getting the vibes going so we can prepare for Daredevil Born Again. So that's all. That's what's on our agenda today. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited as well, because we're about to get into it. I posted a little TikTok, whatever you want to call it, earlier. I'm just making sure that it has posted on all the platforms. Yeah. I think we're live and posted on all platforms. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you actually go follow me on social media. Follow me on TikTok at Sensei Finito. So follow me at Sensei Finito on TikTok to stay up to date with all my thoughts, theories, and opinions on whatever particular thing I may be partaking in at that particular time. We're almost to 1,000 followers on TikTok, so make sure you go over there and check your boy out. Show me some love. I'm excited to go to check it out. And then if you guys haven't, you can also follow me or follow us on social media at Marvel Bros to stay up to date with all things Marvel and everything pop culture. We are available on every platform, including Blue Sky. I think we post on there as well. So make sure you guys tune in, make sure you tap in, all that good stuff, because we are going to be posting a ton more content going into this next month. And there's just like literally we are now, if I'm not mistaken, we are officially at the point of no return to where every single month we'll have a project until like after the summer, if I'm not mistaken. Because right now we're about to get into Daredevil. Next month, if I'm not mistaken, that's Andor. May is Thunderbolts. June, maybe nothing comes out in June. Maybe a show. I think like what's it called? Wonder Man or Ironheart might be coming out around June. July is obviously the Fantastic Four. May, June, July, August. I don't know if we have anything in August. August or September might be one of those other shows. So we have like a shit ton of content from here until the end of July for sure, which is insane. So we're going to be doing our watch parties. We have Invincible War coming up this week if you guys have been watching Invincible. So you're definitely going to want to subscribe, hit that notification bell, drop a like, all that good stuff, because it helps us tremendously. And we stay up to date with all things Marvel and everything pop culture. Like I said, we're going to be checking out all the Daredevil seasons 1, 2, and 3 stuff today. We're going to be checking out all those Easter eggs, things you may have missed. So this won't be our rewatch party. We actually didn't get to do a rewatch party yet for Daredevil, but we'll probably do one soon. So yeah. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are hyped, are pumped. Make sure you let me know how you guys are feeling in the comment section down below. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys are pumped for Daredevil Born Again. Drop a 2 in the chat if you are not hyped for Daredevil Born Again. And then drop a 3 in the chat if you're just happy to be here. You feel me? Because it's all love no matter what. We're about to jump in the chat right now, see how everyone is doing. Got my guy Derp. Yo, what's up with the Derp? Talk about some Glorious King. How are you doing? How are you doing, man? How you doing today? I'm semi-hyped, but I think it's being overhyped. I don't know if I don't know about overhyped because there's already 3 seasons, right? I think, in my opinion, something can only be overhyped when it's like new. And even though this is like a new series, it's also not a new series. You know what I mean? So in a lot of ways, it's just kind of continuing what's going on. You feel me? But I do understand how you could feel that it seems overhyped. And we won't know if it's overhyped either until it actually releases, right? Like we won't know if this show is quote unquote overhyped until tomorrow. So, but I can see how you feel like it's overhyped. Everybody is excited, but they're excited that the show is back, right? Like this is something that's back in action. It's not like we're starting off again. We're not starting from a new point. We already know what's happening with Daredevil and everything. Like I'm kind of hoping they do things similar to how things were done in X-Men 97, where we're not holding hands. If you don't know what's going on from the past, that's okay. But here's this new story starting from this point. That's kind of the vibe that I want to go. But I also want it to be like to where everybody that has watched it, of course, is like, oh no, this shit is amazing, right? Which is a possibility. I think that they could definitely blend those two worlds. I don't think it'll be hard for them to do that at all. Just here for my glorious king. Well, I appreciate you, G. The only good thing about Daredevil is that it occupies me for a couple weeks till more movies and shows come out. Hey, I hear you. I hear you there. There are a lot of things that are going to still be coming out, so it's about to get crazy. It's about to get crazy. I'm hyped for Daredevil Born Again though. Sup, my guy? Yo, what's up with the Thatch? How you doing, G? I think I had messaged you on Cord, but I know you're an old man that doesn't understand technology like that, so you get back to me when you can, bro. Just finished my catch up for the Dragon Reborn book club meeting. Oh yeah, bro, that's gonna be. Oh, bro, this week we have our finale of everything, catching up on all the Dragon Reborn stuff, getting ready for next week, if I'm not mistaken, or the week after, where we have the show dropping. It's gonna be a good time. Still rewatching season 3 of Daredevil. It's been a long time, so I'm trying to catch up. Hey, I feel that it has been it's been a while for me too. I'm not gonna lie. What's good, y'all? What's up with it, Terrell? How you doing today? G, I know you're pumped for Daredevil Born Again, brother. I know you're ready. This is about to be crazy. I was thinking today about one of my only gripes, I think, is having it be shorter, like have it being 9 episodes instead of the typical like 12 or something like that it was. But I've said this quite often now, and that is that they have really, 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 really zeroed in on being able to make 6 to 9 episodes and have them actually tell a very good and cohesive story. I think that's pretty awesome. It has me really excited for what they could do for the future of these other shows as well. Last year, the last couple of shows that we ended off the year with were all bangers, and they all were in that 6 to 9 episode act structure. So I'm I'm excited to see what this is. And to be fair, on one side, this is from the last regime of like Bob Chapek. To be honest, I know a lot of people don't know that, but this is still part of the old regime of things. Like that's why Daredevil was in, She-Hulk and Echo, and Kingpin was in Hawkeye and Echo, because of the fact that this was the old regime's things. This is kind of still within that arc of things that were happening, just like Captain America: Brave New World. Basically everything that we get this year, it's still from that Chapek era. So I know a lot of people are super nervous. Even though a lot of people are nervous because they remember that, and a lot of people just are hyped because of Daredevil. But I kind of, me, I just try to be very clear about both sides of the fence, and then that's up to everyone else at the end of the day to make their decision on how they feel about it, right? So when you just look at both sides of the coin, you got Chapek on one side, and then you got the Iger coming back on the other side. None of those things are really going to be popping off for the other side of things until like season 2. Season 2 is when we'll probably get back to all of those other things that everyone is kind of talking about or yapping about, I'll say. But for this season, it is still it's stuck in that limbo area, as is every single project that we have this year, which is the reason why we have 10 projects dropping this year of, you know, because they're getting all that shit out of the way. So everything else that they make from here on, they're gonna be like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it would be like that. G, all good. I like the 9 episode structure for stories like this. I wish Watt had 9. Yeah, because how many episodes does Watt have? It's like the 6 or something, right? And that's crazy because Dune Prophecy has 6 episodes as well, and they did a damn good job with that. Though they did a damn good job with giving us Dune Prophecy, letting us see how you know not no yeah we got everything that we needed in Dune Prophecy. If you ask me, I feel like we got everything. Even House of the Dragon did a good job last year. It's just that they stole that last episode from them. I think they stole 2 episodes from them, and those were 2 very crucial episodes. Like very, 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 very crucial episodes. But that's not on like the show runners or the writers. That's on Max being, asshats because they're trying to cut corners, cut costs and corners. My bad, y'all. Glasses was filthy, bruv. Things was filthy. Filthy. 8. Oh, okay. What we can really do about nothing that we can do about that stuff. It sucks for real, but hey, it is what it is. You feel me? Why do I have my earpiece in? I was doing something. Oh, I was trying to make sure my voice was all smooth here. So just click that. Oh yeah, everything. We just started going crazy. That was insane. Okay, everything is sounding. I think everything's. Wait, wait, wait. I think I hear that clicking thing. Hold on, hold on. I gotta fix my mic real quick, and then we'll check out that new trailer that just dropped today. Canva. What am I trying to do? No. Here we go. Boom. There's a little crackling in my mic, so I just gotta fix that real quick, and then we'll check out that new that final trailer, the Tomorrow trailer. I think that's what it's called. Settings. Here we go. Check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. It's getting a little. It's just a little staticky once I get louder. So like if I'm like oh or something like that, it was getting staticky. I could hear it in my on uh my earphone. But I think we should be good now. Now chisel. Let's put that over here. Let's double tap that. Let's make sure we have this going on the right thing here. Extend. Yeah. All right. The we got the tube skis open. Make sure you drop a like on the stream if you haven't already, because it definitely helps out tremendously around these parts. We are about to check out Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again Tomorrow trailer. I believe this is the final trailer that we get. We might get another TV spot tomorrow to be like today. But I'm excited to check this video out, bro. I'm excited to check out this trailer because damn, man, this this show has been so good, and I'm really hoping that they not only stick the landing, but they hit all of those beats that we love, and that made us, fall in love with Daredevil in the first place. So apparently they have. Apparently from everything we've heard, they've done the damn thing. So I'm excited, yo. I'm excited. Let's check out this trailer here and see if we got any more shots, and then we will also get into our Daredevil recap after. Okay, so let's get into it. Whoop 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 whoop. Sorry, no audio. Bam, there we go.
Red, you're angry, aren't you?
Yep.
I can see it on you. It's all over you. You hate yourself. He's eating you up because you ain't done a damn thing about it. I don't think you came here for my help. I think you want my permission, Red. You want to get your hands on somebody, you want to hurt them. Maybe a little bit scared about what that means.
Oh my God.
And eating. And eating. Because you know they're breathing the same air you're breathing.
Shit.
Marvel Television's Daredevil, only on Disney Plus. Red, you're angry, aren't you?
Oh my shit. Oh my goodness. That was awesome. What?
You hate yourself. He's eating you up because you ain't done a damn thing about it. I don't think you came here for my help.
Oh my God.
I think you want my permission, Red. You want to get your hands on somebody, you want to
Oh
hurt
my God.
Maybe a little bit scared about what that means. It's gonna keep eating.
Oh my goodness.
And eating.
Yeah.
Because you know they're breathing the same air you're breathing.
To be insane.
Marvel Television's Daredevil, only on Disney Plus.
It's about to go down. What?
You're angry, aren't you?
Yo, having Punisher's voiceover with Daredevil going ham it's just magnificent.
He's eating you up because you ain't done a damn thing about it. I don't think you came here for my help. I think you want my permission, Red.
You didn't come here for my help, you came here for my permission. Yep.
Maybe a little bit scared about what that means. It's gonna keep eating. And eating. And eating. Because you know they're breathing the same air you're breathing.
Bro, he's whooping bullseyes.
Marvel Television's Daredevil.
Oh my goodness. Chat. That is a banger. That's a banger. That's crazy, bro. That was amazing. I'm hyped. I'm even more hyped than I was. Like, literally having, bruh, the Punisher his voiceover and him telling him, like, yo, you want my permission to go ham, bruh. Like, oh, yo. And then him just looking at him and bow, slapping him like, bruh. And then him just going ham, bruh. Yes. This is about to cook for real. Oh. Yeah. Isn't it crazy that it's so possible we haven't seen past like the first 15 to 20 minutes or even past the first episode, really? You know what I mean? Like, the majority of the things that we are seeing in this trailer they've been like from the start. They're all kind of the same stuff. We haven't seen them in any other suit really. We've only seen them in this one suit, and then we've seen them with the horn shaved off, right? So it's like we don't really know what the time frame is with all of this. And look at the way he jumps on the roof, buddy. Like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Like, bruh, this could all literally be the first episode. Like, everything here. Bruh, I am so excited. Look at that. And then the way he's like, and then he's just straight five to the foe. Like, yes, sir. Absolutely cooking. I agree. I super don't think that we've seen past the first episode at all. Like, come on. Like, there's no way we have. Maybe I can see the first two episodes. But like all of this stuff with Bullseye, all of that seems like it's in the first episode. Everything. That jump was MCU. Yes, bruv. You already know. Like, they be killing it with that. Like, yeah, bro. They do a very good job of the jump punch. The jump punch is like an MCU signature. Their jumps and landings are just nasty, period. Like you can't shy away from it. Like, look at that. Like, bro, like when Cap and Black Panther are sprinting for like at the head of the charge in Wakanda, and then they just take that big ass leap at the end of their charge, and then they just blow and go ham. Like, yes, sir, the leaps are it, bruh. And one thing I really like is people are getting their asses whooped. Like, look at this dude, right? When you really look at him, he's got his ass kicked. Like, it's not like he's just fighting. Like, nah, bro got a black eye. It's damn near swollen shut. You know, we don't really see this type of, you know what I'm saying, son? Like, they usually be like all messed up and scarred, but not black eye brutal. Like, bruh, this is about to be bloody crazy. Like, y'all know that one moment from the trailer where the dude like jumps in the air and does the flying knee to the falling knee to the dude's knee and like cracks it in plate? Like, bruh, yeah. This shit is about to be brutal. Like, we might actually literally see Kingpin beat the shit out of somebody to like for real. And not because sometimes they like offhandedly do it. Like when he chopped that dude's head off in the car door, right? Like that was off screen. We didn't get to see too much of it, but we saw it still, right? I think they might show a little more of stuff like that here. You know? It looks like we're getting pretty brutal. Uh I have no complaints about the Netflix series, but it could have leaned a little harder into the comic imagery, and I'm looking forward to seeing a new balance between the crazy stuff and the MCU. I think you put it really good there because I agree. I definitely agree. Like I agree so much because when you really think about it, the biggest issue that the Netflix series had was constantly finding reasons to make Matt not be in the Daredevil outfit. Like in the entirety of the show, like literally in the entirety of the show, we saw Daredevil in the Daredevil costume like 7 times out of the entire season. You know, bro was in the black mask with the black shirt and the black pants the majority of the time. Like the majority of the time when we saw Daredevil, he wasn't in the Daredevil suit. You know, like 80-20. 80% of the time, mans was in, uh, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like most of the time, which is pretty crazy. So it seems like we're gonna have a shit ton more of that. Ready for it. I can't hold you. I'm so ready. That he's wearing the black suit from Spider-Man. Oh yeah. They got Matt moving like he's wearing that black suit from Spider-Man. Dead ass though. They really do. His bruh's moving. You see the way he like swung up and then like landed, bro? Like, yes, gee, we are in for a treat. We are in for a freaking treat, bro. And people gonna try to hate, but it's gonna be improbable. Ready. I'm ready, man. One in the chat if y'all like this new Daredevil trailer that they dropped, yo. This trailer was pretty solid. No, they know, they know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's absolutely fantastic. All right, let's get past this trailer. This ad. That's what I meant to say. Oh, my damn. There we go. Okay. Right. Coffee is absolutely life. All right, chat. We're about to get into it right now. I hope everybody is ready for our Daredevil season 1 reaction to the. Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll say it right in a second. But before we get into that, y'all already know what to do. If you don't know what to do, let me tell you. Marvel Bros, where we discuss all things Marvel and everything pop culture.
We started Marvel Bros back in 2019 because we have a love for not only Marvel movies and comics, but because we wanted to have a place where people could stay up to date with all pop culture news.
Here, you will have access to all of our content, whether it be trailer reaction. You look like He-Man.
Oh!
And most importantly, controllable.
Go!
Character breakdowns. Welcome to Marvel Bros Breakdown.
Welcome to Marvel Bros Breakdown, where we dive deeper into characters and theorize about the latest films.
Pop culture news updates. On today's pop culture news update.
And on today's pop culture news update,
Or movie reviews.
we love to have open discussions here on the channel, so feel free to join us when we go live.
Battle Cove, I like that Kang's motives are understandable in the same way Thanos' motives were. That's exactly what we're saying. That was pretty awesome. Well.
Or jump in the comment section of a trailer reaction or breakdowns so we can theorize, converse, and nerd out.
Follow us on social media at Marvel Bros to stay up to date with the latest news, rumors, content, and more.
You can also join our Discord, where we are constantly having conversations pertaining to Marvel, DC, Star Wars, anime, and everything pop culture.
All of our past pop culture news updates are available wherever you listen to podcasts at.
If you guys would like to support Marvel Bros, All you gotta do is visit our website at www.marvelbros.com and buy some merch. Represent the superfan.
To get early access to content, patron-only scoops, giveaways, private Q&As, and those sacred watch parties. All right, ladies and gents. Excuse me. God damn. All right. It's time to get into it. If you guys don't know, New Rockstars recently has done a Daredevil season 1 through 3 breakdown of all the Easter eggs we may have missed during their rewatch series. So we're going to check out all of their Easter egg breakdown videos as a way to also get ready for Daredevil Born Again. I am so excited to check this out. New Rockstars always does an amazing job with putting all these things together like they really do. So I'm excited to see all the things we may have missed within those first 3 seasons, and especially getting hyped and getting ready for the next chapter of Daredevil. I'm so excited. So let's get it in.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Boss.
And I'm Jessica Clemens.
And this is a breakdown of Daredevil Season 1, the first 13 episodes from the Netflix era back in 2014 that started it all.
And that is right, Jerica is back. That's both of our names combined if you haven't noticed. As Daredevil Born Again comes to Disney Plus on March 4th, and it's effectively a 4th season of this show, we're gonna go back and break down all of the Daredevil Netflix seasons, Season 1, Season 2, and the Defenders, and Season 3, going episode by episode to
I
catch
forgot
up.
about the Defenders.
Yeah, we started this journey in 2023, getting all the way
Like, I
through
forgot
episode
all
6
about the
of the
Defenders.
first season. In this video, you're gonna see our breakdowns of those first 6 episodes as they were. Remote, separated into 2 squares. And then we're gonna pick up where we left off now in 1 square, here in the present day together. And if you wanna see an ad-free version of this breakdown and future installments of the series, join New Rockstars as a channel member. It's a great way to directly support our projects here.
You can also support Marvel Bros as a channel member. Go, look for anywhere where it says join. Just saying, join the super fan, become a bro Avenger, help us protect all that is nerdy and
Are
awesome.
you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go down the road to Born Again. I think
Okay.
we got the wrong Marvel series.
Are they gonna sue? They can't sue us. It's on the same show now. It's on the same program.
All right, let's go back to the start.
We are breaking down Season 1, Episode 1.
Don't forget
Into
about the
Ring of
Defenders.
Netflix's
Nah, I'm not
Daredevil.
gonna forget about
so
the
first,
characters.
Marvel logo.
I didn't forget about the characters. I forgot about that tragic story. that abysmal story.
Flips like pages through a comic book, and we hear the pages shuffling. Now,
What's up with it,
currently, and
BZ?
most
How you doing,
often, the
G?
2 different logos are for more of the MCU.
Bro, we gotta
versus
lock
Marvel
in, man. I feel like I haven't
characters
talked
that
to you
are
in like
not
a
MCU,
year.
the Sony and Netflix properties. But this OG page shuffling intro is still on the Disney Plus roster all the way up until the first Doctor Strange movie. They use this intro up until the very first Doctor Strange, which is Phase 3.
They use this a lot, and I think it's a big reason why a lot of people in a lot of people's minds that all these titles were still part of the same broader Marvel universe.
So after that, we open
What?
on battling Jack
That's
Murdock,
crazy.
played
I
by
didn't
David
even-
Keith,
I didn't even
walking through
realize
a
that.
chaotic traffic accident scene to find his 9-year-old son, a young Matt Murdock, played by Skylar Gardner, lying on the ground with his face covered in some
Hey, that
toxic
kid
goo.
was
We
doing
know
his
now
damn
that
thing,
toxic
too.
goo is what blinded him all those years ago, and an elderly man says this.
Your boy, he pushed me out of the way. He saved my life.
This sets up Matt as a rare superhero who didn't wait until after he got his powers to perform acts of heroism. No good deed goes unpunished, though, as the goo does make Matt lose his eyesight, and it's horrible. And in this really sad transition, we see the edges of the screen begin to meld and corrode like film burning in a projector. It's sort of scary, but the same chemical reaction it takes to burn the film.
I only
kinda
watched
mirrors
Luke
the same
Cage, none of
reaction
the
that
rest
Matt
of the
is giving to poor
Defenders,
young
but I
Matt's
really
eyes.
have to
Yeah,
go
totally.
to Jessica Jones.
But you know what? If you think
Jessica
about it, the last
Jones
thing
is
Matt does
fire,
see is a
bro.
bright sky over
Jessica
the city.
Jones
It does leave
is
him with a kind
fire.
of idealism that I think will fuel him as an adult attorney. A kind of hope that this city is not beyond redemption and that he has to stay in this ring and fight till the final round. And then from this,
That's
we
so
transition
sad.
to the present day, a truly awesome scene that's just Matt talking at a confessional.
If they
for
had a
over
little
3
more
minutes
heroes
straight,
for hire
mostly
within that,
interrupted.
they
And
could have
folks,
really
this
cooked.
is
There was good
acting.
chemistry with
Charlie
Iron
Cox
Fist.
plays
I
the scene
agree.
with
I
tears in
agree
his
with
eyes
that.
and pride in his voice, and you just know
I
that he's
hella
going to bring
agree,
the rest
actually,
of the
bro.
series from this moment on. He tells Father Lantom about his dad's boxing career warrior, how he was known for being able to take a punch. And as we see throughout the series, this is something Matt clearly inherited from his papa. This dude is taking brutal beatdowns on the rigs, and just like his dad, he always gets back up. This scene also serves as foreshadowing for Matt's eventual superhero persona, since he says his grandmother used to say,
"Be careful of the Murdock boys. They got the devil in them."
But I do think it's interesting to point out that Matt says about his dad.
Yeah, guys he went up against used to say I was like hitting oak.
This is what Ivy.
Yo, I'm pumped already.
Which I think foretells his own fighting style, taught to him by another piece of wood, stick, like stick from the oak tree, you could say.
Yes.
And he goes on to say,
his eyes would go dead, and he'd start walking forward real slow, hands at his sides like he wasn't afraid of anything.
Yeah, just think about that. A fighter with inactive eyes, but a man without fear, slowly marching up to his enemies with his hands at his sides, unafraid. This is how
Daredevil looked the majority of the show.
In episode 2.
Yeah.
They did us so, I'm not gonna lie, they did us so dirty with constantly taking bruh's suit from him. That's the one thing I always felt played about watching the show, was they did everything in their power to have this man not be in a suit. They even had him meet a guy that could make him an entire suit, and then Kingpin stole it and gave it to freaking, like, right.
This is how Matt struts into that hallway kill box in episode 2.
Yes, I can't wait to even get into episode 2, but now it turns out Matt isn't here to confess his sins. Not at all. He's here to ask for forgiveness for something he's about to do. The most Godfather act that could happen, and this isn't a pilot episode, you guys. So then we jump to the docks that night to intercept some human trafficking. If you remember this horrible scene where Turk, played by Rob Morgan, says, "I'm getting $1,000 a head for y'all," and then proceeds to offer them a bucket before forcing them into a shipping container. Turk is also a character from the comics, if you didn't know, and he's still a petty criminal, a petty thief. And the opening shot of this scene is gorgeous. The city skyline framed between the two shipping containers really hammer home the fact that the crime and corruption have taken over this city. And we get our first fight scene of the series, and it is, ooh, it's so good. It's so good and it's so funny. So the choreography is impeccable, and it's so fast and so tight, and yes, brutal, but I just love this guy seated, this Russian guy who's eating a sandwich and doesn't move during the entire fight, but who ultimately gets knocked out anyway. Maybe he should have just offered Matt some of his sandwich. I don't even know. It was so cartoony, but it's still so good. Additionally, Matt's Man in Black look is inspired by the Frank Miller Man Without Fear comics run. We go from Matt brutally beating the crap out of these guys, something he had mentioned his dad would do in the ring, when he said something in him would snap, to the opening credits. Remember, the last time we heard Daredevil's intro music was in She-Hulk at the Daredevil introduction. We see the elements of his city forming in this blood-like paint. Genuinely, this is my favorite Marvel intro.
Agreed.
I love it too. It goes crazy.
I would arguably, for a series, because the Black Panther Wakanda Forever intro is really good, but like this is the music, the look.
Yeah.
I
wish they did. I wish Marvel actually did more of that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm pretty bummed that they don't do more, like dedicated intros for their shows. I don't know why they don't. But
so
they
there's
don't.
water towers,
Even the
churches,
Star Wars.
skyscrapers come into view, along
And
with the
just be
Lady
like,
Justice,
logo
portrayed here as
fade
she often
in.
is, blindfolded and holding scales. We also see an angel statue half covering her
I think
face, which
Marvel's
is
had
definitely
them
giving
on
me
the- on
weeping
Disney Plus,
angels
actually,
from
now that I
Doctor
think
Who, if you
about
guys
it.
have seen it. The creatures who could only move when they weren't being watched, essentially coming to life only when people were blind to their true nature. How is this not about Daredevil? The whole thing is set to this beautiful, haunting original score composed by John Passano and Braden Kimball.
Yeah. It stays with us. And I totally agree with you, Jess. This is just beautiful imagery that puts us in the right mood every time we watch. It's one of the few Netflix shows that I would not skip through the credits of.
I never did.
I want to get in that vibe every time.
Yeah,
and
facts.
This liquid
It
that's
definitely
bleeding over the city is
teleports
actually
you.
meant to be the liquid that blinded Matt as a kid. This was according to Patrick Clare, the head of the design team behind this. They considered that toxic corruption seeping into the city with its reconstruction efforts after the Avengers battle in New York to be
That is so fire, bro. That is so fire. When you really start getting into the minute details of why the writers and the designers and everything do the things that they do, it makes it so much more, like, I think you can care so much more about it. It's one of those things to where you have to really take a step back and take the in-universe and the out-of-universe stuff and connect them to each other. Like, if you don't appreciate what was put into making the project, then it's hard to actually appreciate the project as well, right? I think that's another thing that comics kind of had, like, going for them. It's like people went to comics because of the writers, because of because of the names, because of the title, and then it kind of changed a little bit along the way. But I feel like that's the way that it should be. Like, oh, what? This so and so is writing on this. I'm watching no matter what. That's how people are with comics. They'll be like, anything that this person writes is gold, so buy every comic. I mean, you know.
Linked to the same liquid that poisoned
Link
Matt
the
as a kid,
medias
and
in the middle,
all of it
you
here
know?
is just so visceral, so wet. Don't you feel like you need a bath after you watch this?
I do, but I love it. It's like PETA throwing a bucket of blood on me.
Please, yes, I'm gonna wear fur coats every time I can. But I just like this idea that every time we watch this episode, nothing in Hell's Kitchen is left unstained by the blood. All right, so as we start the episode, we meet Foggy Nelson, Matt's best friend and business partner, played by Eldon Henson.
Daredevil intros in my top 5 TV intros of all time. It's pretty hard. It is pretty hard.
He was in.
I ain't gonna lie,
She's All
Game of
That.
Thrones
He's
intros,
also Idle
House
Hands,
of the
a
Dragon
very
intros are
niche
my
movie for
top
horror
ones
fans.
for sure.
Idle Hands. He's a great kid.
Yeah. Foggy calls Matt, who's still in bed. He's beaten and
Like,
bruised
those
from
are
the night
my
before. And this
ones,
really just
bruh.
sets up the ongoing theme of Matt's work life clashing with his double life as a dude who spends his nights
Is Heroes
beating
for
down criminals.
Hire
And
an
this is something
agency
we've seen
that
other
they set
superheroes
up?
struggle
Yeah,
with
it is.
before,
It is.
which just really shows the whole
Heroes for
work-life
Hire.
balance.
Heroes for Hire is the best I can say is it's one of many vigilante teams. Because the Defenders, if I'm not mistaken, the Defenders in the comics is usually like Doctor Strange and other people like that. It's I don't want to say cosmic, but it's a little more like it's street level, but it's also higher than street level at the same time. It's like right in the middle there. But now, we have what we got now, basically.
Balance thing, but in a new, much higher stakes light. And Matt and Foggy meet
The
with
new
the
intro is
realtor,
gonna
and we get
have
the
some
first
animated
mention
elements
of the
to
Battle
it?
of New York
What?
in the series.
This office was barely touched by the incident, which is why it's on the market already.
So this is a
Yo,
big
they're
deal.
really
We have
trying to
talk
blend
about this for a
those
second,
margins,
because when this
buddy.
Daredevil
They're
series was
cooking.
first produced for Netflix, it was under a different division of Marvel Entertainment than what Kevin Feige oversaw at Marvel Studios. All of the MCU references in these episodes would go in one direction. Like Daredevil would reference the Battle of New York, or
Yep.
Hulk, or Iron Man or something, but Avengers movies would never reference Daredevil explicitly. Now, all this would change after Netflix canceled Daredevil in 2018 after season 3, and then a couple years after that, the rights reverted to Disney/Marvel Studios, and that's when they brought in Charlie Cox to cameo as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home and She-Hulk, and now the new series of Daredevil Born Again.
So Matt and Foggy argue over what kinds of clients they should be taking on, and just as Matt says he settled for one innocent client, we cut to Karen Page covered in blood, holding a knife next to a dead body. We find out later that dead body was Daniel Fisher, who worked in the legal
Daredevil,
department
why
of Union
Batman,
Ally.
the
Karen is played
animated
by Deborah
series,
Ann
and
Wool, who I
Sopranos?
think must have it in all of her contracts that she can
okay.
only be introduced in TV
I'll
shows covered in
say-
blood and crying.
I'll
and
say
screaming.
got for sure.
Hey, she just walked through the opening credit sequence of this show. She just got covered in that blood.
And just screamed. Yeah, great idea. Great idea. Foggy gets tipped off by his cop buddy, Brett Mahoney, that Karen is there at the station. And Matt and Foggy swoop in to save the day. Matt uses
Yeah, there you
super
go. Look
hearing
at
to
that.
determine that
Defenders
Karen
OG team is Doctor Strange, the Incredible Hulk, Namor, and the Silver Surfer. Bruh. But wasn't nobody mad about that. For me, my intros, I would have to say, no particular order, Game of Thrones. The Dexter intro is freaking insane. Danny Phantom's intro is also badass. Ben 10's intro is also badass. House of the Dragon, like I said, is also the one. Like, those are the ones. Season 1 House of the Dragon intro. I like season 2 as well. And the Wheel of Time's intro is pretty badass as well. I can't lie. So yeah, those are all really badass. But bro, like this Defenders team, bro, like what are they defending? Like they're defending all of Earth, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't even need the Avengers with this type of team, broski. Like the who? The Defenders was about to pull up. The Defenders about to pull up and wax the Avengers, bro, because they stole Hulk, And they got Strange. It's over. It's over for everybody. Adios. You know what I'm saying? It's done dada for y'all.
is innocent, and boom, they've got their first ever client. We cut to off-duty police officer Clyde Farnham, which is also the name of an early Daredevil comic book villain, the Marauder. He's eating his lunch at a city park chessboard when Wesley, Wilson Fisk's right-hand man, sits down next to him. Farnham owes money to the mobster Rigoletto, $28,957 to be exact. Wesley explains that now that Rigoletto is retired, Fisk has acquired his books and he's calling in his debt. He doesn't want the money he's owed, however. He wants to use Farnham to get to Karen. Wesley threatens Farnham's daughter, Tracy, by showing a live feed video of her being watched by a hitman. If you make deals with loan sharks, don't have children. That's like loan sharking 101 because they're just gonna come over there and hunt them and kill them. Wesley then comments on her Monet shirt, which is so creepy, but listen, hear me out for a second. He says,
"What is it about?" If a man really hated ads,
that is
here's
such a
what
good
he would
point.
do.
I never
Day
understand
one,
why people
he would
be
install Pi on
doing
his computer
crazy
without
shit like
spending.
that.
College girls and Monet t-shirts.
Yeah, so art analysis plays a big part in this show, since Fisk meets his eventual girlfriend Vanessa, an art dealer at her gallery when he's buying some art. Also, fun fact, at one point in his life, Monet developed terrible cataracts, which rendered him legally blind and unable to see most colors other than red, which is the main color he painted in during this period. He eventually had surgery to remove the cataracts and went back to painting his signature blues and purples.
Yeah, that's a really good point,
That's
Jess,
crazy.
because in episode 5, Matt will explain to Claire Temple how he perceives the world as an impressionistic painting, what he calls a world on fire. And so we could totally see him as a Monet, unable to close his eyes to the fire and trying his best to remember those water lilies. And I reference the right.
So badass. That is so badass what they just said. Because when you think about it, like when you really think about it, look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. On the left, it's Fisk looking at his painting, and on the right, it's Daredevil watching the world on fire. That's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. They're on a whole nother level. That's all I'm gonna say. Is they're on a whole nother level with that one. That's insane. All right. I just had to point that out because my brain was like, wait a minute, what? Like, hold on.
What is up, super fam?
You know what I'm
How's
saying?
it
Like,
going,
well, what?
everyone? Welcome to
How
Marvel,
they do that?
where we discuss all things Marvel and everything pop culture. We started Marvels back in
Come on,
2019.
son. Boom. There we go. Yep. That, like, what in the world? They're going stupid right
Monet,
now.
right? Not Monet. Monet did that.
Yes, Monet did flat lilies. Right, Dash?
Yeah, Monet was trash. Monet was the best. Monet. So we're back at the office. Matt and Foggy discuss Karen's case. Foggy wants to take a plea deal, but Matt says he believes her, which causes Foggy to tell Matt that he hasn't always shown the best judgment where stunning women with questionable character are involved, and if that ain't an Electra reference, I will eat my hat. But for Matt, he literally is Lady Justice. He's got the blindfolds on. He can sense through this supernatural ability whether or not people are telling the truth just by listening to their heartbeat, and it kind of makes us always fall in love with him. He did this with She-Hulk and She-Hulk.
Yes,
It's like his coolest superpower. But back at the jail, Karen is attacked by Farnham, who wraps a sheet around her neck to try to make it seem like she hung herself, but this lady has claws, and she uses them to claw out one of Farnham's eyes and scream for help. Matt and Foggy legally threaten detectives Blake and Hoffman for almost letting their client get the Epstein treatment, but Blake doesn't take it too well.
I'll call the ADA. Will you take that tone with me again? I don't care if you're blind. I'll kick the shit out of you.
And so Charlie Cox ever so slightly smirks after he hears that, and I just love it because you know he's probably thinking how hard he would beat Blake if he ever tried to get into it with him. So Karen lays out the reason why everyone's trying to frame her or kill her. It's because she has evidence a union ally, her former place of employment, was using its government construction contracts to embezzle money. And you gotta wonder if any of these shady construction folks know Adrian Toombs, another guy involved with the salvage and reconstruction of New York.
Yes, Matt tells Karen that she can stay at his place because I guess Foggy lives with his mom or has a bachelor pad or something. I don't know why he like immediately instigated, but whatever, go off Daredevil, you fine as hell. Daredevil's DPs also love lighting a night scene. There is one thing to take away from this, a big thing from the pilot episode. Those DPs love lighting a night scene. The windows illuminate like daylight hitting stained glass, making Matt look like he's back in the church, like every moment of his life he's been spending in that church confessional booth. The light in the stairwell is literally bright green. Matt's apartment is illuminated by the giant light up sign that casts a heavy shadow on his red furniture and perfectly contrasts with the green hallway, and it's just so fun. And it's dark and it's gritty. We see later on he does almost everything in the dark, and it feels like it's to give the audience the same depth, assuming that he doesn't need it, but we do. So when we see the fight scenes later on, keep in mind the people he's fighting can barely see. They're playing ball in his court and they are losing, baby.
That's so true.
I love that.
So
that's such a good point.
Episode, you guys.
Damn, that is such a good point. They literally gave us everything that we needed to know within that one episode, within the first episode. Like, Nah, this is this, and this is that.
Guys,
Damn.
please go back and watch it after you watch our breakdown. I didn't expect the sexual tension between Matt and Karen to immediately hit like this. We know they had relationships in the comics and what happens further down the line, but this all felt like him and She-Hulk all over again, baby. Like,
he is a boy.
He is in the comics, he is in the Daredevil Netflix, and he absolutely is gonna be in Disney's MCU. I love him. I love him. So once seated, Matt tells Karen about his unfortunate accident that ultimately left him blind, leaving out the toxic goo details. This is where we learn later that Karen has something that Fisk needs, that flash drive of evidence. We learn that they're trying to discredit her by framing her for murder. Then after the second incident, they plan to make it look like a suicide, and hey, it's all swept under the rug, as Matt says. This is when the Daredevil chess game begins. Matt can hear Karen's heartbeat, and she's lying about keeping the incriminating files. You don't lie to your lawyer. That's like lying to your therapist. You don't do it. It doesn't help you. We jump to Union Allied Construction, or at least one of their construction sites. It's literally an unfinished skyscraper. The most villainy grounded villain lair I've ever seen in MCU history. Here we have the drug lord Madame Gao, the brother traffickers Anatoly and Vladimir, Leland Owlsley, Wesley, and Nobu.
Yep, and when Madame Gao initially speaks, we do not get subtitles, which I really love because it makes me feel like we're just one of the villains there, but with her horrifying past, I wouldn't question anything she says. Also good to note that Madame Gao is a primary antagonist, squaring up with Danny in Iron Fist. She spans 2 MCU series as a supervillain, and she's awesome. Now, Leland Owlsley is featured in Marvel Comics as a shady businessman like he is in the Daredevil series, but he also had the power of limited flight due to a special serum that allowed him to glide for short distances, thus the word owl in his name. He also had slightly enhanced senses and talons. As a bird enthusiast, this would be my preferred superpower. But,
horrible. I would never want to be a bird that can slightly glide. That would be the worst superpower.
I want to be a flightless bird, just an emu. I just want to molt and just make people really uncomfortable by staring at them for too long. Then there's Anatoly and Vladimir, the other gangsters who we follow in this season, and Nobu, who doesn't really have stories in the comics, but later in episode 4, we see a tattoo representing the 10 rings. Of course, you know.
What?
Of the legend of that Shang-Chi movie that we all know and love on Vladimir's shoulder. So these boys have been committing crimes for a long time with a lot of shady partners. We figure out through Wesley that this employer, aka Wilson Fisk, not only has business in insurance money embezzling, but in human trafficking as well. I'd assume all these crime and drug lords meeting in Hell's Kitchen must go through Fisk, so our man oversees it all. Now we get another mention of the first Avengers movie when Owlsley says,
"Heroes and their consequences are why we have our current opportunities."
Which applies not only to the 2012 Avengers, but also in regards to the Sokovia Accords. Villains like Baron Zemo flourish with the Sokovia Accords because it helped create a divide in the Avengers, allowing Zemo to slide in and control them even more. Villains are nothing without heroes. Every villain in the MCU in some way is formed by the hero. Literally and figuratively. While Owlsley celebrates the new vigilante, seeing that they can exploit the damages he may leave behind in Hell's Kitchen.
They actually do such a good job in the MCU of connecting other things to other things and making it like spread out for real. Like the story is so well interconnected. Like if you really look at it, it'd be like, damn. So what Brud did over there affected this dude over here. And they didn't even know each other. Like they didn't even know. They had no clue that they were in the same realm of each other, but the fact that they did, it's like, whoa, look at Endgame and how Endgame has literally flown through the other things. Like, it's wild. It's wild. It's wild.
Questions it, knowing that Fisk won't like these inconveniences to continue. Anatoly and Vladimir have too much pride to even be working through Wesley. They question whether or not Fisk is doing a good job, seeing as their rival Prashka is still in business,
not knowing what he's talking about at all.
Which Wesley responds, "We're handling it." Yeah, another death is upon us, my friends.
Anytime a villain says we're handling it, 4 people
Someone's
will die.
about to die,
so Matt with his super hearing hears Karen sneak out in the night. She snuck back to her apartment to retrieve the evidence. The flash drive was locked in an air vent in the bathroom. Kudos, Karen. Good place in hiding. In the world's most horrible timing, though, hiding in the shadows is one of Wesley's goons, the same man at the park watching Farnham's daughter, Rance. He immediately knocks Karen to the ground, but fear not, Daredevil is there. Woo! We get a fun fight scene in Karen's dark apartment until they're thrown out the window, hitting the fire escape poles, then hitting the cold, wet pavement. We slowly transition to young Matt in his childhood home, asleep on the small kitchen table in the same position he was on the ground. Some things just never change in the Daredevil universe. His dad has just come back from a fight. His face is completely pummeled. He wakes young Matt, who fell asleep studying, and right when his father says, "I never studied, look where it got me," you see the two-part realization. A, his dad wants Matt to succeed so he doesn't have to follow in his footsteps. B, when he says, "Look," you see the sadness in his face because his son can't see him. So he raises Matt's little hand to feel his face crumbled and bleeding literally onto the kitchen table so he knows what not to do. This scene can also just be confusing because you're wondering what really drives Matt Murdock. And this is the pilot episode still, you guys, so we shouldn't really know, but we're starting to see it. At times, it's his father, his values, his beliefs.
This is crazy.
I think
This
it's
is
all
all just in that first episode.
God saw fighting as a curse, and Matt slowly finds it as an advantage. These flashbacks will come out when big defining moments for Matt come through. The flashback ends with his dad saying, "Come on, Matty, get to work."
Get to work. I love it. And just like that, Matt rises from the pavement and starts beating the crap out of Rance. Now, we've seen Daredevil fight so much from this pilot, but the choreography is still so good. In slow motion, it's highlighting the fact that this man can dodge swings from a knife. His hearing is impeccable. At one point, he hears the metal chains and he chokes Rance with it. And Karen, rightfully paranoid, begs Daredevil not to take the flash drive to the police, so he takes it to the New York Bulletin, not to be confused with the Daily Bugle, because we know what they would do with it.
Yeah. They would twist that in the worst way possible.
Just ruin it?
Parker, put it on my butthole.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
What?
I'm leaving.
What the f?
I'm done with this.
I didn't have a good one in the chamber for that one. I'm sorry. But the New York Bulletin is kind of like the newspaper that gets featured in a lot of these shows. We saw it in Agent Carter. We saw it in Jessica Jones and Cloak and Dagger, another Netflix Marvel-related series. And the flash drive is pinned to a barely conscious Rance. The New York Bulletin immediately publishes the Union Allied scandal. Didn't really fact check it. No time. We got to get this to the press.
They didn't. It immediately dropped. They did not care. They were like, "Oh, there's a crumbled man with a pinned flash drive to him. It must be true." I will give them that. They did not double check their sources. But go on, continue.
So Wesley ties up the loose ends, and the next step on Fisk's road of destruction is figuring out who Nelson and Murdock are, because they are Karen's lawyers. Who are these guys? Later we see the real-time effect of Wesley tying up those loose ends. We see Leland transferring money and changing the accounts for Union Allied. Then we see Farnham with a gunshot to the head, dead in the kitchen. His poor daughter finding him this way. I guess this semester's a bust. Next we see Rance hung in his cell by his own sheet, getting that Epstein treatment.
Stop. Getting that Epstein treatment. Getting the Epstein 101.
A ton of people are stacking large amounts of packaged heroin. Whoa. These people are all weighing and packaging like an assembly line, and they are all blind. Madame Gao is an efficient one. All their eyes look like they've been purposely blinded with acid, and the scarring is a key detail. It definitely mirrors Matt's unintentional accident. We know Matt's gonna come in contact with this organization soon just because of this scene alone, and they've also been stamping each package with, what is that? The Steel Serpent logo. That is the heroin produced by The Hand. Of course, the villains of Iron Fist, who show up in season 2 of Daredevil and The Defenders.
I can't wait to get my hands on that heroin. When we're back at the empty law firm, Karen's made her grandma's recipe for the two boys, and again, this sexual tension, you can cut it with a butter knife. We begin to close the pilot episode with the newfound friendship and colleagues Nelson, Murdock, and Paige. Perfect closing to an amazing pilot. Matt enters Fogwell's gym. He takes his glasses off and starts beating the hell out of a punching bag. As the camera zooms out, we see the poster for Creel vs. Murdock, which is Matt's father, and that's the fight that he had all those years ago. The symbolism here, what got his father killed is knocking at the devil's door, literally, and he doesn't care. It's in his DNA, but it's also his way of life, and it's so sad. We see Nobu going over Hell's Kitchen, New York City. It's like an entire grid plan separated by different avenues and street numbers. The one highlighted seems to say Black Sky, and I found this out after a lot of Google translating, and we later find out this refers to the young boy from Japan found by the Hand in episode 7. We learn later in the season that this young boy is not your average child. Matt even noted his pulse sounded different, but he couldn't define how. It's clearly set up that the child is a weapon, and it's something very important to note for later in the season that we'll get into.
They established so much in this pilot. It's a really well-written, well-structured, well-directed pilot that like gives us a ton of information and hooks us into the world with all this mythology. I love it. And we see a broken-nosed Turk still healing from Matt's beatdown at the beginning of the episode, buying illegal weapons from the back of a truck. Never a good sign.
Still playing email ping pong? Still chasing updates? Still fixing timelines at midnight? There's a better way. Motion shows you everything before anything goes wrong, without a single meeting. Every growing team faces the same breaking point. At first, everything runs smoothly. Quick
A white van speeds into a shot and Anatoly and Vladimir get out, pull a man from his car, and beat him senseless. Vladimir kidnaps the boy and drives away as a dad lays beaten on the ground. And we cut to Daredevil overlooking the city with his super hearing, again, my favorite of his superpowers, and he listens to the citizens and hears the echoes of this young child, the same boy getting kidnapped. And thus the episode closes as it began, with a son crying out for a father. But this episode is titled Into the Ring, and here in Hell's Kitchen, the ropes bind all of us onto that mat. Matt's father didn't want his son to end up in the ring like he did, but now Matt, assuming the role as paternal guardian, is not about to let another kid get stained by the blood of this wet town. And this is a breakdown of Daredevil Season 1, Episode 2, Cut Man. We open on a trail of blood in an alley leading to a dumpster while harsh fluorescent lights buzz and flicker. We talked last week how literally everything in Hell's Kitchen is dripping with the blood of the opening credits, and those blood stains are literalized here on the pavement. Blood even drips from the dumpster edge, meaning that Matt must have further injured himself upon getting into this. And those buzzing lights foreshadow the fluorescent bulbs in the hallway at the end of the episode. Matt is the cut man of the episode title, both in his physical cut condition and in the term's definition in boxing, because a cut man is the person who treats fighters' wounds between rounds so that they can continue the fight. Matt plays this role for his father Jack, and Claire Temple plays that role for Matt. This is where we first meet Rosario Dawson's character Claire Temple, and she always brings a steady hand in these series that makes her a calming presence whenever she appears. And when Claire inspects Matt, there's an interesting effect where she shines a flashlight onto his eyes and his pupils do not dilate, tipping her off to the fact that he is blind. Now, according to Daredevil showrunner Stephen DeKnight, they toyed around with the idea of making her Night Nurse from the Marvel comics, but at the time Marvel wasn't really sure if they would use that character in the future, so they changed her to Claire Temple, a more obscure character from the comics, and they did a sort of composite mashup with elements of the two characters. Matt stops Claire from dialing 911 just in time, which is crazy considering it really is just 3 numbers. He knows from listening what those numbers will be, and when 9 and 1 begin, that means trouble's a-coming. Matt passes out, and the fight commentary carries us into a flashback.
Murdock has dominated this fight, but now Price has turned the table on him.
As if the announcers were commenting on his KO. This is a rare instance of young Matt pre-blindness, making the image of his father's beaten face one of the few visual memories he carries with him. Jack says,
"Don't get blood on your shirt."
In the future, Matt's cut man Claire gets blood on her shirt. This whole neighborhood is dripping in blood. Interesting detail. I like how inside the medical kit is gauze, antiseptic, and a deck of playing cards. Cards are used by fighters to self-test for concussions, showing us how often Jack has gotten the hell beaten out of him. So Matt stitches up his dad, and the wound makeup effects look so real that we're gonna have to blur it because YouTube freaks out at realistic skin punctures. I mean, this is gonna be a fun series to cover, but Jack makes his son swig scotch, setting up this poor Irish Catholic to go round after round with Foggy at Josie's bar. Karen catches Foggy singing the Pirates of Penzance by Gilbert and Sullivan in the office.
And to make us more than merry, let the pirate bumper pass.
This is the opening number of Act 1 of the show, and it paints Foggy as a huge nerd and probable Aaron Sorkin fan because Sorkin's always making characters sing Gilbert and Sullivan in every goddamn show.
You mean should be out having a life?
That's hella funny.
Poppers and flapper dancing. I don't know what kids do these days.
Yeah. I'm Josh Lyman. So Matt wakes up and the camera pans from the couch, showing Claire sideways before writing the shot, leaving us, the viewer, just as disoriented as Matt is as he asks where he is, but really he is more worried that he is unmasked. Matt won't give her his name.
All right, I'll call you Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, guy I used to date. Turns out he was very good at keeping secrets too.
This is probably a nod to Mike Murdock, who in the comics is the fake twin brother identity that Matt assumes. So Matt transitions from being regrettably masked.
Yo, I forgot Brett pretended to be his own brother.
About his black covering to his youth being tortured by his eyes covered by white gauze. Here in this hospital room,
yo, Daredevil is actually so goofy, bro. Yo, comic Daredevil is so goofy, my guy.
Pre-accident, it seems like his world was lit normally, but anytime post-accident, like in his youth in these scenes and in his adulthood, the lighting designers go crazy because all Matt sees is a world on fire, vibrant stained glass, a surreal world where nothing makes sense. This kid suffers from sensory overload from his enhanced hearing, where heartbeats are the dominant sounds. Somewhere it's probably Jen Walter's heartbeat that he's hearing. I know it. But Jack calms the son by letting him feel his face, like in episode 1. This is a bonding ritual between this father and son, and now it's being used to calm down the cut man. Young Matt says, "I can't see," which
pretended to be his own twin, and then his twin came to life.
His own heartbeat must be deafening to him here. Claire helps Matt breathe, and he explains that the Russians kidnapped a boy.
They've been running a human trafficking ring out of Hell's Kitchen. Took over.
They going episode by episode.
Now, if we are
we're not
reaching
about
to connect this to a possible parallel MCU history, these Russians could be affiliated with the tracksuit mafia because one of the guys in that hallway he fights later is wearing tracksuit pants, and the Italians could refer to the Manfredi crime family, whom we saw in the 1940s in Agent Carter, and the same group who was foiled by Peter Parker in a deleted intro scene from Spider-Man Far From Home. Matt explains how the Russians
what?
With the tracksuit mafia because one of the guys in that hallway he fights later in the 1940s in Agent Carter, and the same group who was foiled by Peter Parker in a deleted intro scene from Spider-Man Far From Home. Matt and Carter, and the same group who was referred to the Manfredi crime family, whom we saw in the 1940s in Agent Carter, and the affiliated with the tracksuit mafia because one of the guys in that hallway he saw
I got it.
One of the rare violations of the show don't tell rule in screenwriting that actually works because it's one of the rare violations. The Russians took the kid to set a trap for him, something we never see. It's one of the rare violations of the show don't tell rule in screenwriting that actually works because this is character development for Matt and Claire, and the episode ends with the ultimate no dialogue show don't tell anyway, making that a fight that, based on this exposition in this scene, is technically a rematch. Matt has had such a long night. All of this is really the second half of his night, after for most of us it would totally be over, and Matt's steady breathing has allowed him to attune his listening.
Someone in the building, a man going from door to door.
How do you know that?
He's on the 3rd floor already. Smells like premium cigarettes and discount cologne.
By telling, not showing in this instance, the episode traps us within Claire's fearful point of view, so it makes the idea of this smelly killer somewhere in the building even creepier, like Anton Chigurh in the motel in No Country for Old Men. And we flash back to Jack taking a beating in the practice ring, and the bell is so loud for young Matt, who still isn't totally used to his heightened senses. Matt is learning Braille.
Each grid is 6 possible dots, so each letter is a combination of those dots. You have to feel for what's not there as much as what is.
Yeah, Matt likens this with boxing, sensing where a punch could be going before it's thrown, but it's also a world
for a while we had a Mike and Matt Murdock. Fisk whooped his ass because he thought Matt and
when
Mike.
A kid who should be safe in bed isn't there. Matt is the one who senses it. Roscoe and Silk drop in. Roscoe Sweeney, or the fixer from the comics known for fixing fights.
He thought Mike was Matt and found out Matt was Daredevil, so he beat the tar out of Mike. That's hilarious.
And outed Daredevil's identity to the FBI.
Tracksuit Mafia, Hawkeye's brother's part of the gang
we saw
too.
Carl Crusher Creel in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where he played the character the Absorbing Man, a guy whose skin takes on the property of anything he touches, and in the comics he gets his power from Loki, and he later partners up and marries Titania, who we recently saw in She-Hulk. But this is the only episode of Daredevil where Creel gets mentioned. These two assholes say,
"You're young yet. Plenty of time to have more kids. What can I do for you boys?"
And you know Matt totally heard this shitty comment from across the room in the background. We actually later cut to Matt's point of view at one point proving this, and since they pressured Jack into taking the money for his son, Matt's father's death will be guilt that Matt carries with him for the rest of his life. So back in the present, Matt knows that the fake cop didn't buy Claire's story, so he pulls an American Psycho and pew! It's such a brutal hit. I miss when Marvel superheroes could hurt people like this.
Bro,
and Matt can sense someone watching them young and scared, meaning that Matt can listen to Santino's heartbeat and know how young he is and know how scared he is based off that. At Josie's bar, Foggy calls Matt.
Climb off wherever you're on. Get down here.
Yeah, Foggy assumes that Matt is getting laid, but he's actually in this moment probably on top of a corpse, dragging him up to a roof. Because I know anytime I try to drag a couch up the stairs, I end up sitting on it. Pet that. Just nap time. So Karen talks about how she can't get the blood off her carpet, suffering from PTSD, and the lighting of the scene casts both her and Foggy in red from the neon of Josie's sign, but it's like it's pulling them back into the bloody opening credits of Hell's Kitchen. But Foggy transforms that anxiety into something to set Karen's mind at ease.
These guys are harmless. That's Tom Belkin. He's the road captain in the Kitchen Hellions. He organizes the food drive every Thanksgiving. That's Clint Peterson. He is a criminal. But he's turning it around. We're this close to getting his kids into St. Agnes daycare.
St. Agnes Orphanage is where Matt goes after his dad dies. It's also where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Daisy Johnson grows up. Matt strings up the Russian on the rooftop by a water tank, and Claire admits she helped him because at her hospital she heard stories of a man in black mask saving people, so she felt compelled to help him. And Matt says,
I know you're afraid. You can't give in to the fear. If you do, men like this win.
Strike, Ashinobi.
Yo, I forgot about this game.
It's interesting that Matt discusses his moral reasoning behind his vigilantism right here, because either this rooftop or one similar to it is where Matt will be tied up in season 2 when he debates Frank Castle about where that ethical line really is. The transition comes with young Matt reading this quote.
That's so
There's
purposeful.
a price to be paid for division and isolation. Democracy cannot flourish amid hate. Justice cannot take root amid rage. We must dissent from the indifference. We must dissent from the apathy. We must dissent from the fear.
These are the words of Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, part of his 1992 Liberty Medical Acceptance speech, and clearly Matt took that message of dissenting from fear to heart. But what really is the price to be paid for isolation?
That was
Because
awesome.
this quote does, in a way, inspire Jack to go win the fight with Creel, something that he does out of desperation, out of machismo, and an unsolicited hero complex, which ends up leaving his son isolated. I think he took the wrong message away from Marshall's words.
Shadows is
Jack
about to
shows
be
off his new boxing
crazy.
uniform, which he describes to
I
his
got
son
Ubi
as
Plus,
red, really
so
red,
I get to play that day
foreshadowing Matt's
one.
future
Yo, I
choice of his
forgot
own
about
costume.
Ubi Plus.
And
I've
he
been
says,
forgetting everybody
"Think
got their
about
own pluses and stuff
Can't tell
like
unless
that.
you're bleeding."
Yeah, this is about to be gas.
Who says I'm even gonna get hit?
We're Murdocks. We get hit a lot.
Jack calls his bookie, telling him to put all the money on him to win by knockout, knowing it'll probably mean his death by the Mafia. And after making the call, notice how Jack leans back and an Italian flag is framed behind him, some of those Italian mafiosos whose world he's about to blow up. Jack then calls Matt's mother to look after him, saying, "I know what I'm asking." Now, what exactly happened with Matt's mother is explored later in the series, but in the comics, Maggie Murdock suffered from postpartum depression that turned into paranoia, and she actually tries to assault the baby, and she ends up leaving the family to go become a nun. So depending on where exactly Maggie is in her life, again, Jack is not making the best choices for his son here. Drunk Foggy and drunk Karen walk the streets to kill some time.
After what you told me, I'm never going home again. Men are waiting in the dark corners of this world to prey on us.
As he says this, they pass under some red light, the bloody world of Hell's Kitchen, saying, "Oh, go ahead, you joke want to be Josh Lyman, but these few blocks of Midtown Manhattan with our failed UCB location are gonna mess you up." On the roof, Claire is now masked up in a Shy Guy look that looks even scarier than Matt does. She's clearly gotten over her reservations real fast and helps Matt torture the Russian.
Try stabbing him with a trigeminal nerve.
Where is it?
Going through here, right above the eye. You want to go in right under there.
How will I know when I find it?
He'll tell you.
And Matt brings the guy over the edge and tells him,
I need you to know why I'm hurting you. It's not just the boy. I'm doing this because I enjoy it.
This convinces the Russian that he is dealing with a psycho, and he spills the location of the kid under the Troika restaurant. Matt actually drops this guy in the same dumpster he himself was found in the beginning of the episode.
Is he dead?
He'll live.
Yeah, this tells us that Matt wasn't entirely sure when that guy landed in the dumpster
He's
if
like,
he was going to be okay. And as Matt slowly limps off to possible death, we cross-dissolve into his father in the tunnel before his fight. When he goes through those doors, he's bathed in light because he is walking right into that afterlife by doing this. And we see this fight from Matt's point of view as he listens to it on the TV. No images, just the sounds. And after knocking out Creel in the fifth, Jack rushes back to the locker room for a quick getaway, but he cannot help but take in the crowd's chanting of his name. Sadly, these precious seconds probably help the mob catch up to him later in the alley. And like the ring of the bell in the gym earlier, now Matt jumps from the sound of the gunshot in the street below. And for one last time, Matt feels his dad's face. Ugh, heartbreaking. He switches from repeating dad to the more childlike and innocent daddy, pleading with him. And now, this is it. The most iconic scene of the whole series. A 5.5 minute long take of Matt giving the business to the Russian traffickers in a hallway. Right now, I'm speeding through the whole thing so that you can see it in all its unbroken, glorious entirety, but I'm gonna break it down here beat by beat because there is so much good attention to detail in the way this is directed. First off, remember, Matt is going into this fight already wrecked, with several broken ribs, some lacerations that have only just started to been stitched up, and a freaking collapsed lung. But this sequence begins by smartly giving us a geography of the hallway layout, where exactly the kid is, those Russians playing cards in the other room, everything Matt has to get through to get to this kid. A Russian brings the kid his meal, and we hear that kid crying for his daddy, just like we've been hearing Matt do this episode, and the steals his apple. And Matt enters, arms at his sides, just as he told Father Lanton last episode how his dad would always enter the ring, arms at his sides. The cut man has crossed into the ropes. Yellow and green fluorescent light fills the space. And as Matt passes the first room, his head slightly cocks to the side as he registers everything he can hear about those inside. Matt swings open the door and goes to work. The door swings shut though, allowing the stunt double to swap in seamlessly. And the stunt fighter here is Chris Brewster, who also did stunts in Captain America Winter Soldier. We don't see what goes down at first, but the door door breaks open when Matt throws a guy through it. That apple thief marches down the hallway, and Matt, able to hear him approaching through all that fighting, times the throw of a microwave perfectly so that it hits the guy in the head. Think about it. Matt threw an appliance into an empty doorway, knowing that a guy's head would soon be there. Now, the camera glides past Matt, and one would think that they could conceal a cut here, but according to Chris Brewster, they did all of this in a true oneer, shooting 12 takes of it. So they might have stitched together some different takes, but every take you saw, they did it all the way through, which you can totally see in their physical exhaustion as they go, which is why they choreograph a beat here where Matt is on the ground catching his breath and the Russians are regrouping too, and then Matt continues to fight through them. One of them actually comes back behind Matt, and Matt throws the gun at him, and the guy falls back and knocks the camera a bit. They keep it in because it proves how authentic this all is. It's a small number of Russians, but they keep getting back up, which is more realistic for a fight. They just keep getting more and more tired as they go. Matt could end it faster by using one of these guns to shoot them, but he doesn't because he is a non-lethal killer.
Bro's actually
but really,
cooking,
I think he just doesn't want a stray bullet.
Throwing
hands. And as the fight continues, it's interesting how the knockdown
you
door
see the
gives
full-on
a strong
Daredevil versus
diagonal element to the
Bullseye
scene, a springboard for all the
yes,
spiders
that's
to
gonna
leap
be
off of.
insane,
And as the fight
bro.
enters its final act,
Holy.
Matt leaps from the wall to punch someone, and you can see he's just spent. He has to lean against the wall just to hold himself up. And so now the Russians are able to grab him and give him some solid hits. They take him back into the room, and again, we don't see into that room, but Matt comes back out and does an impressive acrobatic flip kick, and then punches a guy until his final hook throws him back into the room, where stuntman swaps back out with Charlie Cox, who sells this exhaustion to finish the scene. And perhaps my favorite detail, before Matt goes in that kid's room, he raises his mask because he doesn't want to scare the kid. And he knows that for him, being able to sense his father's face was the only thing that could calm him down. And as he carries the kid out, he steps on the door, which after several minutes of several ripped dudes leaping off this thing, the door finally now breaks as Matt steps on it. Like as he walks away, you can see, only now is it snapped in two. Our cut man has finally broken down the door of the crime of Hell's Kitchen. This is a breakdown of Daredevil Season 1, Episode 3, Rabbit in a Snowstorm.
After last episode's awesome action-packed hallway fight scene, this week gives the fighting just a little rest and instead focuses more on the law, playing out kind of like an episode of Law and Order. It's very cool that this show can live in two worlds, both an action and an illegal drama. Kind of.
Hey, Daredevil Season 1.
Crime is down. Jobs are up. Our economy is strong. America.
Season 1, Episode 5, World on Fire.
We open on Claire wiping shower steam from Matt's bathroom mirror to examine her various bruises. It seems like the episodes in this show always take place directly after the previous one.
Damn!
And we'll see Melvin Potter.
Hey, maybe we watch this one. Because damn, we want to skip a few to action.
Cellmate to use as a makeshift knife is what ultimately leads to his brother's death later on. Oh God. He also has various tattoos on his arms and chest. We see them on both the brothers, along with a lot of the other Russian crime mobsters. And one of them is actually the 10 rings on Vladimir.
He's got some Kree Tech shout out. We're now learning more about
Oh my God, that's true. That's true. He has Kree Tech literally shouted out. He doesn't know yet. Well, he'll never know, but eventually.
He's like Jack in Lost getting a tattoo that he has no idea what the characters mean.
Oh my God, he's stupid. The star tattoos that are displayed indicate that they're made men in the Russian mafia. These guys were into some shady, shady business even back in the day. Anatoly says this. Foreshadowing his fate at Fisk's hands, but right now Vladimir is optimistic as he grabs a second rib bone from poor Alexei. God, stop doing this! For his brother to use in their escape. Oh God, here's another clip.
Нам надо смотреть вперед, в будущее, к Америке, где мы будем управлять, как короли.
And I love this. In the subtitles, Kings is capitalized, but these two make a grave mistake in their choice of partnership when they get to America because there's only one room at the top for one king. Now this show could easily have made the Russians your usual underdeveloped thugs, you know, of the tracksuit variety, whose only motivation is to do the crime, get the money. But Daredevil ain't your average superhero show, my friends, and by letting us in on some of the brothers' backstory, it serves to humanize them a bit, and we understand why later on it's so hard for Vladimir to go to Fisk to ask for help and why he sends his brother instead. These aren't the kind of Russians who just get shrunken and eaten by owls at the end of the show. We get to know them. And we cut to Hell's Kitchen, present day, and we see how these once fearless Russians are now afraid of the man in black, who's making business hard for them by throwing bodies onto the hoods of their newly acquired cabs. Claire is still in hiding and still playing cut man to Matt, and you gotta wonder if she takes insurance or if she just gets paid in long, smoldering looks. I'd happily take that payment if we're talking about Charlie Cox, but she tells Matt this.
You really need to get some kind of body armor or something.
It'd slow me down too much.
So will a bullet.
Yes, this foreshadows Matt's eventual suit and Fisk's body armor being the thing that saves him in the end from Anatoly's knife swipe. Claire and Matt do some flirting in classic Daredevil fashion because, as we pointed out, he is a boy, and this dude just cannot help himself.
That's why you keep ending up here.
Well, maybe I just like the sound of your voice.
Claire chucks his shirt at him and
He
catches
is a
it with one
boy.
hand, just like he did with that brick in Spider-Man No Way Home. The one-handed grab, the second coolest power after listening. So Prohaska's kitchen cabs are having the signage switch to Veles Taxi to indicate that they are under new leadership ever since his run-in with the bowling ball. In Slavic lore, Veles is the god of the underworld. After the rise of Christianity, he became identified with the devil, Mephisto, but really foreshadowing a certain devil of Hell's Kitchen who is going to be raising some hell in this Veles Taxi garage later this episode.
Yes, Wesley stops by for a visit to tell the Russians that Nobu and Gao are pissed with them because they haven't handled the one man in black. Like, oh, Will Smith.
Take a walk.
Play this clip.
I mean, if he had an iron suit or a magic hammer, maybe that would explain why you keep getting your asses handed to you.
Pretty sure he's talking about a different guy with a hammer, not this one. This is obviously yet another reference to the Avengers, this time Iron Man and Thor. After telling the Russians not to use Fisk's name, Wesley's eyes twitch when Vladimir uses it again. Dude is absolutely gonna regret that he said that. Trust me, Vlad, you'd much rather just deal with Wesley on his own. Do not deal with Fisk.
So Wesley leaves and Vladimir.
I'm excited to see the new Wesley that they have for this show. It's gonna be dope.
His name is because it would reveal that he's just a man. But when Anatoly fights Fisk later and slashes at him with a knife, he is wearing body armor, which gives the illusion that he has supernatural abilities. So again, Vlad is definitely going to come to regret downplaying what a threat Fisk actually is. We find out that the man Matt dropped off the roof 2 episodes ago is named Simeon, and he's currently in a coma at Metro General, the hospital where Claire works. Karen meets up with Ben Urich to ask what he thinks about the NDA the Union Allied lawyer is trying to get her to sign, and scene takes on a master and apprentice vibe right off the bat. The old grizzled veteran and the new optimistic rookie feeling each other out.
You pretty much brought down the Italian mob back when I was in diapers. Whatever happened to that reporter, Mr. Urich?
He got old. And a hell of a lot less stupid.
So the Russians visit Simeon at the hospital, and he is in bad shape. You gotta admire the fact that Daredevil isn't afraid to show the actual damage aftermath of a superhero ass kicking. The brothers inject Simeon with epinephrine to wake him up, and he has gotta be in a lot of pain. They ask him about the man who did this to him, and he says, Yes, the first time we hear someone refer to Matt by this moniker. Simeon tells him about Claire, and the 2 Russians break into her apartment. He's obviously not there, but poor Santino comes to the door and gets tortured for information. This kid's having a bad week.
Yes, and we finally see Wesley and Fisk together. Though we haven't gotten an entire scene with Fisk, the main villain of the season, until almost halfway into episode 4, which is insane.
That's
it is the
awesome.
first season. It's more reason why this show is amazing. Fisk and Wesley talk a little business in the car, and then Fisk arrives at Vanessa's gallery.
You stay with the car. Sir. I need to attend to this alone.
Wesley is so crushed that he's not invited on this courtship attempt, and you can't help but feel bad for this guy for just a little bit. He just wanted to play wingman to his best friend, his best man, his bestie. Fisk talks with Vanessa, and this scene really lulls the viewer into the false sense of security with him before the end of the episode pulls the rug right out underneath you.
How are you enjoying Rabbit in a Snowstorm?
I hung it in my bedroom.
Vanessa.
It's the last thing I see every night.
That's either very romantic.
Try the Double Sonic Smasher, now at half price in the app. Live free, eat Sonic.
I ain't gonna lie,
I start nursing school in September, and before I sent off my application, I ran it through Grammarly. I graduated with my bachelor's.
Very sad.
They was really feeling each other, yo.
Soft-spoken nature and a shy vulnerability. Maybe he's not as bad as all the others have made him out to be up until this point.
Nah, bro's a villain.
Now, Fisk wears black here, while Vanessa wears white, a color palette that continues throughout the series when they are together. And as he stands in front of the painting with a mix of reds, he stands out, whereas she blends in against the white wall. He is out of place, but she is in her element, making him seem
they were going crazy with the symbolism and
what Matt sees when he describes his world on fire.
I wanted to thank you for it, personally.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, Yes, I was actually wondering if you cared to join me for dinner.
Notice how Fisk approaches as he thanks her, but when she seemingly dismisses him, he falls back. He's like a widow boy, gutted from slight rejection before regrouping and asking her to dinner. Just a cool bit of acting from Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vanessa turns down his offer to dinner, but when Fisk goes to leave,
D'Onofrio she's with
she seems surprised that he gave up so easily. She clearly wants him to flirt a little bit, but again, he's out of his element. In the criminal world, he's always in command, but here he's thrown off his game. She tells him that a man once offered to buy every painting in the gallery if she'd go out with him. Here it is.
A woman that can be bought isn't worth having.
I am that woman that wants to be bought. This charms Vanessa though.
Hell no.
And she agrees to date after the two eye contact, something Matt and Claire did earlier when they were flirting. This episode shows a lot of parallels between Fisk and Matt, and we'll get into it even more later. The two of them introduce themselves.
I was not ready.
It's Wilson.
Notice how Fisk hesitates before he responds, uneasy with anyone knowing his true lonely self, which serves to humanize him a bit, lulling us and Vanessa into a false sense of security regarding who this man actually is.
So we jump to Claire and the cat. She's allergic and very mean too.
Eat it, you little bastard.
This cat knows something is up as he searches the room and meows. A slightly tense Claire pops a Benadryl and we see something outside her fire escape moving around past her curtains. Just look to the right, Claire. It's Vladimir and Anatoly's men. We then cut to Foggy and Matt leaving the 3rd Precinct Police Department. The lanterns outside are green. The reason
I will never forget how furious Foggy was when he found out that
precincts normally have 2
Matt
green lights
Murdock
hung
was
outside the
Daredevil,
entrance
bro.
to
He
symbolize
was
the watch is
furious,
present
yo.
and vigilant. Foggy tells Matt, "Did I tell you my mom wanted me to be a butcher?" A story he's told plenty of times. Later in season 3, we'll get a ton of glimpses at Nelson's meets Foggy's family-owned butcher shop, so he really could have been cutting his own brisket or whatever. And again, Foggy is only in the game for the money. He mentions hating being broke again and comparing the rate of a butcher to what they're doing as lawyers.
Then Matt's burner phone rings, the one Claire can use in case of emergencies. When he picks up, it's revealed the man we saw in the fire escape has made his way into Claire's home and drags her away, scratching at the floor and trying to escape. This scene is horrifying. It is horrible. I hated watching it. And a reminder that Daredevil only gets more grim from here on out. It's like watching that scene in Taken, but like 10 times worse because it's not Liam Neeson. Also have to point out, not every cab is owned by the underground criminal ring, but this one may be. Though we're seeing the side of the cab that doesn't have Velas Taxi on it, there's another shot of a different taxi cab that is operated by Velas Taxi that looks absolutely identical. So Foggy may be getting into a car he is unknowingly very closely connected to and is owned by an underground criminal ring. He could have died.
That's
There's
crazy.
a lot of opportunities Foggy could have also died, but this one is very important. Matt speeds to Claire's house, tossing his cane directly into a trash can and parkouring his way to Claire's apartment, which is legitimately insane because he must have memorized the layout of where to jump and where to latch onto. She's not there, but he finds her phone on the ground, and that cat is still at large, but remains innocent in my eyes. I love this.
Yeah,
Bro,
Matt
it's
either
so
memorized
mad.
the layout, or he's just hearing the ghosts of all the people who tried to parkour over this, who died, who are whispering, "Jump here, jump there, don't jump here, now, jump down." Just all the Michael Scotts and Andy Bernards who are like, "Don't make the same mistake we did." So Matt opens a window and begins listening to the sounds of Hell's Kitchen like he did in the first episode to find that boy. Through the din of casual chats, car horns, and busy New York City hustle and bustle, he makes out a pair of men speaking Russian, and Matt unmistakably hears the name Santino in their conversation, and he feels that guilt. He's like, "I'm sorry, I had to bring that boy into this." The Russians have closed their trunk with Claire in the back and drive off. Karen is now in an auction house. Her plan is to get any information on the Union Allied, and this place is auctioning off all its liquidized equipment. She looks incredibly sketchy with a notepad at an auction house, not bidding at all. You'd think someone would be like, "Get the hell out of here." Additionally, she's sketching people's faces because she doesn't know their names, which seems even more literally sketchy. Thank God Ben Urich is there to assist this small piece of advice.
Eyes front, Jesus.
Who are they?
Don't know. But they aren't bidding either. Spend the next hour raising your paddle. Win something, one of the smaller lots.
Ben didn't know she'd be there, but was trying to get any information he could get as well. Then we jump to Velas
He
Cab
was
Service, the
definitely
home base of their
terrible
shady
undercover.
operations. This is my favorite part of the shop. The Russian half-nude portraits of models on the wall. Very car shop mentality. Not a family-friendly place to leave your kid playing his Game Boy.
Don't leave your kids. Don't leave your kids at car shops. Don't leave them at car shops. There's gonna be weird nudes on the wall.
I'm I'm a man now. So they release Claire from the trunk, and again, it's horrifying watching Rosario Dawson struggle in there. She survives. Netflix Daredevil just gets so dark.
Matt finds Santino a little beaten up, and Matt raises his glasses to show him his face the way he raised his mask in a previous episode so the kidnapped little boy wouldn't be scared. He begins speaking to Santino in Spanish and finds out the name of the taxi service that took Claire, and he's off again into the night. Meanwhile, we're taken to, I'm sorry if I pronounced wrong, Brazier? This is a real place in New York City, and it unfortunately closed in 2015 once Daredevil dropped, but Brazier is French for brewery, which is funny because Vanessa and Fisk are going there for Italian. On that date, a waiter pours some wine for Fisk to taste. Fisk confesses he doesn't really know wine, and we know it's because he comes from humble beginnings, new money. Fisk says he's been too preoccupied to date, and he rubs his cufflinks. We'll get into why these cufflinks are so important on our road to Born Again, but remember, we got super eerie close-ups of them in the last episode.
Yes, they're his Horcruxes.
Vanessa and Fisk begin talking about Hell's Kitchen, mainly how Fisk wants to change it for the better. Boo. For people like Vanessa, he makes a comment about the city being part of him, that it was in my blood, the title of the episode. Then they cheers to making a better place of Hell's Kitchen. This episode frames Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk as two sides of the same coin, both hometown boys who were defined by their traumatic events in their childhood, who now want to clean up their city. Although their means and methods vary, they're really not so different. This episode shows they're both capable of violence and vulnerability, lawlessness, and love. A psychologist would tell you Fisk's true intentions and motivations are not in fixing the city. The cufflinks and his goals are tied to the same event and are like his nexus event. It's like his nexus. It always has to happen in order for him to do whatever he's doing, and the cufflinks are his Horcrux. Ugh.
Yeah, that's right. They're the key, they're the Horcruxes, they're like the activation button, they're everything. You really could just have a pair of cufflinks walking around with just floating in the air. We would know that it was still Wilson Fisk. I'm telling you, go Gadget, but Dr. Claw. I'll get you next time. Devil of Hell's Kitchen next time. So the silence of the last scene is completely shattered as we cut to Claire, bloody and beaten. She isn't one of the people like you Fisk was talking about, apparently. They are beating her up to get information on Daredevil, his name specifically, and Claire knows the fake name he gave her and still refuses to share it with the Russians after being beaten up and tortured. She is what Hell's Kitchen needs. The women in the show are putting their lives on the line for the city with no powers.
Absolutely none.
They're not even good listeners. I don't like them.
Yeah, what? How dare they? How dare
they? Claire is a good listener. So Sergei then tells Claire this.
If you have a child 12 or older and you'd like for them to get into the best university possible, I have something very important to tell you. Here's the shocking truth that will turn everything.
This gives me no pleasure, it really doesn't. But I have been given a job to do, so please answer the questions that I was told to ask. I will begin breaking you.
Which feels right out of Rocky IV, doesn't it?
I must break you.
Then Daredevil evens the playing field by turning off the lights. Now, he's clearly outnumbered, but remember, he fights just as well in the dark, and these guys clearly don't. The Russians decide to turn on the cab lights so the yellow beams bounce off the people in the cement, so the DP having the time of their lives setting up this shot. The orange from the street entrance, the blue from the emergency lights, the yellow from the street light. Additionally, notice the light bouncing off the ground. They had to make the floor wet to do that. This is movie magic.
I'm obsessed with these.
Literally.
Eat it up. Knowing damn well the lights were turned off on purpose. In the most villainous laugh, Claire chuckles and tells them to ask Daredevil his name themselves and cue the beatdowns. Keep in mind, all these people Daredevil begins beating up drop their guns. It allows the other men to even pick up the guns, but Daredevil never picks them up because guns are beneath him, and he's better than that. He's even making noise in different areas to distract them as he picks them off one by one. He's like a cougar in the night. In the midst of Daredevil trying to teach Sergei a lesson, Claire swings the metal bat he used to scare her directly across his head, and as a doctor, I'm sure she knows she did some immense damage, but that doesn't matter right now. She's upset, angry, scared, shook, and all those emotions are coming back as adrenaline slips away, and she breaks down into Daredevil's shoulder as he comforts her, and it's so heart-wrenching. I hate it. I don't like it.
So we're back at the Square Diner where Karen and Ben are meeting after the auction. Karen put $3,500 on some old office equipment and billed it to Nelson and Murdock. It's revealed that the former Union Allied is buying back their own equipment. We get some backstory to Urich here, but just a very small amount. Karen mentions an article he wrote about a woman in which he responds that the woman had the worst fate, marrying a workaholic that never appreciated her, speaking about himself. Now, I know the B storyline feels a little dull in retrospect to Kingpin and Daredevil gruesomely killing people, but, it all makes sense, especially at the end of this season. Karen is the one who sucks Urich back into the intrepid investigator reporter life, and therefore, when he is ultimately killed, she'll have that on her conscience. Something that is underscored with the sound design of this scene. Jessica did a great job talking about the sound design last episode here. Notice there's some police sirens that come by right as he's considering this, foreshadowing the crime scene that he will eventually fall into. R.I.P. We leave Karen and Ben agreeing to lay low and continue to work to take down the Kingpin. men. So once back at Vela's taxi cab service, Anatoly and Vladimir stroll in to see their men beaten half dead with empty bullet shells everywhere. Pyotr has relayed to Anatoly that Kingpin is out and about. Anatoly tells Vladimir that they need Fisk's support. Clearly the man in black is Wayne, and they've now officially lost him 3 times, but Vladimir refuses, and Anatoly goes to Fisk to grovel. And we're back with Vanessa and Fisk, and if you haven't noticed, we got 4 concurrent stories going on in one episode. It's like the Act 1 finale of West Side Story. Fisk is gonna crush a skull tonight. Is that the episode where the explosions happen and then he's like, oh, you embarrass me? So we've got Claire, Kingpin, and Vanessa, Ben and Karen, and then Daredevil in the middle of it all. It's the 4th episode, and they are doing a great job balancing 4 storylines at once. Fisk lures Vanessa into having zeppa inglese, an Italian sponge cakey custard dessert that's normally for children's parties, but he's a big boy. He's a big boy. The lighthearted date is interrupted by Anatoly. He stumbles in completely ignoring Wesley, and this is a big reveal that 80% of the men at this restaurant are working for Wilson Fisk. They stand up, guns out, prepare to protect. That's how important this man is. His goons pretend to have dinner for him. He made it look like this is a normal date, which rightfully unnerves Vanessa at first. But you know, deep down she's like, okay.
She comes back. At first, I hated that at first she was like, oh, this is a little too much. And I was like, girl, you are gonna be on top of this at the end of the series. You are literally the one orchestrating all of this. Do not act like this scares you. You are so into this. And also, I think me and Vanessa are the same person, heart to heart, which is so horrible. I know, I'm a monster. I would have been with Wilson Fisk. Either ways. We come back to Nelson and Murdock, where Paige shows Foggy their new, old, fax machine, what she bought at the auction. Foggy, in a heart-to-heart moment, tells Karen his mom's butcher story again. In a reversal, Matt now patches up Claire. This isn't gonna feel great. He tells her a gentler version of her, this is gonna hurt, to him from a previous episode. And like they even mentioned, this isn't new to Matt. He's been patching people up like his dad since he was a child. Matt says, I'm just trying to make my city a better place. Almost exactly what Fisk said. They're different sides of the same coin. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. But I feel like we already kind of knew this. Like, of course they're the same person. Additionally, Claire begging him to tell her it was all for something. He doesn't really have an answer, which is the true essence of street level grounded vigilantism. Like,
and Fisk got his own art-themed episode, Rabbit in a Snowstorm. Matt's painting is fire, Fisk's is ice. It's also worth noting that Matt's walls are devoid of any art, which will come into play later when he goes to Vanessa's gallery to do some recon, and he pretends he wants to buy art to warm his apartment up.
Matt asks Claire to stay with him until he can figure out a way she can stay safe from the Russians, and they finally kiss, and they kiss on the lips. And you just know the next time we see that couch, it is not gonna have guest blankets and pillows on there. Claire asks Matt another question the audience always wonders, which is why doesn't he just go to the police? And he tells her that wearing a mask and beating on people doesn't exactly mesh with the police policy. But we at least get some semblance that Matt has some sort of long-term goal for all of this when he says this right here.
Maybe I only need to take down one man.
Fisk?
Cut off the head of the snake. Body dies.
Oh, you sweet, naive man. Anyone familiar with the MCU knows another similar saying when it comes to villains. Cut off one head and 2 more shall take its place. That's the Hydra motto. But it can apply here too, given that Fisk is in a league with Gao and Nobu and a whole bunch of other baddies.
Now, Claire says that when the Russians were beating on her, she heard them say the name Vladimir. And we cut to the man himself, who doesn't yet know about his poor headless brother. Cut off one head and you've got a super pissed off Russian on your hands. Wesley shows up and proves he's a man of many talents.
There are still a few small details we'd like to iron out before. Where's your brother?
The Fed will print as much money as it wants. Unlike the US dollar, gold has historic.
Dude, his brother's blood was splashed on your face last night. Wesley would make one hell of a poker player. Vlad responds.
Bro did his
Last time I
thing.
saw him, he was heading to see your employer.
Vladimir now catches himself before saying Fisk's name. Smart move. But this is a lesson he learned too late, since if he had shown Fisk the respect he demanded all along, his brother wouldn't be doing his best Marie Antoinette impression right now. Because you know when Wilson Fisk bashed Marie Antoinette's head in a car tour, they don't tell you the history you learn. It's cool. It's not right. So Vlad's goon comes in to tell him that they found Anatoly, and then they bring him in. Damn. Vlad has got to see his brother without a head. Pretty harsh. In Anatoly's pocket is the man in black's mask, playing right into Fisk's plan. Vlad says to put every man he has out on the street to find him and bring him his head. And we cut to the UNT credits, and then cut to Anatoly's blood being hosed off of Fisk's car. And there's like bone and brain in there. It's just gnarly.
I can't do it. Okay. Gal, Nobu, and Leland are there, and you just know Fisk is letting them see this bloody scene as a power play move. He tells them that the Russians are out, and he's the guy who took off Anatoly's head, and they're understandably super pissed that they weren't consulted beforehand. Or beforehand, I guess. This whole scene is shot in the handheld shaky cam style, which makes it all more unsettling and disorienting, which is no doubt how Gao, Nobu, and Leland all feel during this conversation.
We all knew that we would need to eliminate the Russians one day. They were too unpredictable.
This from a guy taking heads off with the car door.
Once again, I love Leland's smartass style here. He just tells it like it is, and I think he's a great character for this show. Him and Wesley are great characters for this show. Fisk smooths things over with the promise of more money for all, and we get this ominous line from Nobu.
Remember your promise to me and those I speak for.
Fisk is playing a few different angles, and we'll find out more about this one later on in the series.
Yep, next we get another classic Daredevil one-shot action sequence, and it's just as awesome and as mind-boggling as the hallway scene was. We start on one of Gao's blind drug runners right into the backseat of a Russian taxi cab, and he's singing this hauntingly beautiful song. So this actor is Mang Ai, and he's singing in Mandarin the song Kangding Chinga, also known as Kangding Love Song, a popular traditional folk song from Kangding, China, written by Wu Wenji. The lyrics talk about a lovely maid with a sweet smile that the blacksmith's son comes to court. He came to court her in moonlight. Moonlight shines bright, a courtship in moonlight. And the following scene with Matt fighting these Russians can be considered a bit of a courtship by moonlight. The camera starts inside the cab right next to the singer, and it swivels back and forth, and it's just super cool. Like, you can't even see the camera or the crew or the cameraman in the rearview mirror at all. At one point, it does a full 360-degree turn, and Matt is just standing there like a jump scare in a horror movie. You know, like in, I think it was Paranormal Activity 3, where the camera is pivoting back and forth on the fan, and then it's like right there behind her, and then the sheet drops down. And it's kind of appropriate given that the Russians now see him as some sort of boogeyman, the Baba Yaga, if this were John Wick, cutting off the heads and appearing out of nowhere. And when the camera swivels back around, Matt is now poof, gone. And again, this is just all one long unbroken take. The show really does an awesome job finding some interesting and different ways to shoot things that aren't just your typical action fare, and I hope they continue this trend in the new series, important again on Disney+. Matt takes out the Russians one by one, and at one point, this singer is sadly shot, just more bloody collateral damage left behind. Matt questions one of the men as to Vladimir's whereabouts.
Please, I tell you what you want. Just don't cut my head off.
So this is Matt's first indication that something is up, but the cops show up and he doesn't get a chance to get more answers, and he does the next logical choice for info.
Hey, you guys hear anything on the news about a Russian getting his head cut off?
In Hell's Kitchen?
This city, bad enough you get mugged, now they chop your melon off. What's next? Groping corpses?
Dude, Matt, your office small talk needs a lot of work. It's bad, it's horrible, get it up, not the way that you think. That groping corpse line is definitely a nod to what happens to poor Julie Barnes in season 3, which I talk about a lot, and I love it. I don't love it. I don't like what happens to Julie Barnes. It's just crazy. Okay. Let me go back. Miss Cardenas comes in to get these guys help. She was referred to them by Brett Mahoney's mom, the one Foggy keeps buying cigars to, even though he's not supposed to. The slumlord Armin Tully is trying to drive Miss Cardenas and the other low-income residents out of their apartment complex so he can put up the condos. This is just more evidence of Fisk's plan to clean up the city for the right people, like he mentioned to Vanessa last episode. Karen translates for Miss Cardenas, even though Matt also speaks Spanish, and he tells her,
Do you want to do this?
No, I like listening to your voice.
And that dirty dog. That's exactly what he told Claire last episode. He is running out of lines. Get your game up, sir. Hate you.
That's why you keep ending up here.
Well, maybe I just like the sound of your voice.
Boy, boy. When Matt says this to Karen, even Foggy rolls his eyes inside. I rolled my eyes. Everybody's rolling their eyes. He's seen this before from him, no doubt. Absolutely not.
Matt and Foggy agree to take up the case, and we find out that Tully is repped by Landman and Zach, the law firm where the guys used to intern that also offered them jobs that they turned down so that they could form Nelson and Murdock. Matt says he'll go to the precinct while Foggy and Karen hit up the law firm. Foggy likens the lawyers to sharks, and Matt says,
try not to splash too much. It attracts them.
Yeah, splashing around is exactly what Matt is doing at night as a man in black, and it's getting the attention of Fisk in a big bad way. Matt goes to the precinct to ask for files on Armin Tully, but he's also really there to listen for any info on the headless Russian. As Matt sits and waits, behind him is a poster that reads, "You don't have to reveal your identity to solve violent crimes." So appropriate for a masked vigilante. I think one of my favorite shots at Easter eggs in this whole season. Matt is also one of the superheroes who doesn't register as an enhanced human after the Sokovia Accords are passed, so he chose not to reveal his identity. And in She-Hulk, our man was very, very defensive of this whole idea of superhero privacy. Over Brett Mahoney's shoulder, we get our Stan Lee cameo, a framed photo of him as a decorated police officer. Matt hears Detectives Blake and Hoffman interrogating Peter, the Russian he beat down the night before. Peter asks them if they know who he works for. The cops don't care about Vladimir and Anatoly, however, which is the first indicator that these guys maybe know more about what's going on in the criminal underworld than they should.
What
if I give you another night?
He'd have to be big.
He'd have to be King freaking Kong.
Big and King, really taking out any ambiguity over who Peter's gonna name. So obviously Peter gives up Fisk and things go south immediately. The detectives pause and then Blake undoes Peter's handcuffs, which is never a good sign. If you're ever in a movie and a cop undoes your handcuffs in a private interrogation room, you're in trouble.
Whose turn is it?
Yours.
I thought I took it for that thing in the bodega.
Oh shit, yeah. All right, wait, come on.
What's that, Jesus? Oh my God! What's that? You really shouldn't have said his name.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, these detectives are in Fisk's pocket. And there's this cool shot of Matt standing up to react just a moment before the gun goes off, and every cop behind him leaps into action behind him in slow motion. And you just know he has a ton of things going through his mind. You already saw that Fisk can get a jury to tamper with a trial, and now he's starting to get the scope of what he's up against. So Karen and
all right, I gotta go. That was part 1. We'll probably do part 2 tomorrow or something. We'll figure it out. All right, y'all. Everybody have a good rest of their day. I'm about to crunch, lunch, and munch. Be breezy.
If you guys would like to support Marvel Bros, all you gotta do is visit our website at www.marvelbros.com and buy some merch. Represent Superfan. Or you can join our Patreon to get early access to content, patron-only scoops, giveaways, private Q&As, and those sacred watch parties. We appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Excelsior.
On today's pop culture news update.